Okay, can we take this out? Can we take this again? I'm going to delete this. Okay, three, two, one. What the cast?
What the cow?
What the
Hey,
cast?
hey, whoa. What the gosh, yeah? What are you
Okay.
talking about?
And action.
What's up? What's up? This is Bot the Cast. Today's episode's a very special one. We have 5 people on board. Bryden, why don't you introduce everyone and talk about what today's topic is?
Okay. Thanks, bro. Let's go. Okay. So, firstly, welcome back to What the Cast. All of those guys are new here. Welcome to the random talk show where stuff gets hilarious. Things are, sometimes take different turns, but interesting ones indeed. Today's episode, really interesting one. A pretty intense one, actually. And, well, Zoom's doing its shitty recording as usual, but we're all coping because social distancing, lockdown, and all of that. We have a house full today, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, the two usual hosts and myself, Maz and Kiran, and then we have our last week's guest, Anam Kazi, with us, and a very special new guest, all of our best friend and really close to our heart. Welcome, Arya Jayan. I hope I said that right.
Yes, Bryden. Hi, guys.
What's up? What's up? Nice to have you in What the Cast. You know what? I feel stuff's getting too serious. We need the steg. Where's the boy? Where's the man with the plan?
What's up, boys? And two girls also with us.
Okay, take it away.
So, we're going to be talking about mental health today. As we see, the current situation is really messed up. Everybody's, going through things in their own heads. Everybody's fighting their own fights. So, not many people like talking about this, but I think it's very important to talk about things like this, and I'm sure my team also agrees with it. So, looking at the current situation, everybody's stressed out, everybody's anxious, and it's very weird. Nobody's used to staying at home, and some people are away from families. It's all things that not many people understand, that it's a serious issue and mental health is very important to be looked after. So, Bryden, why don't you give us some more insight about the topic?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say this. So the topic of like what we're discussing today, what we're talking about today, is it's truly a really sad or a very intense topic, something that a lot of people feel personal, intimate, on almost, if you will. But in the sense that if you just firstly, I don't know a lot, obviously. None of us on boards have spoken to experts, or even are experts in that matter. It's just our personal experiences, our own strategies and our own thoughts of it. Please feel free to take advice from this, but at the same time, if any of y'all watching this, listening to this, need actual help, please get real professional help, because there are better ways of dealing than stuff. All of that being said, let's move on to mental health. As I said, it's a really intimate topic. Why I say this? Because understand this, all right? For the people who are just who haven't had any psychological experiences that might be taxing, that is all right, really good, amazing. Well, that means you've been treated well, you've had an amazing growing experience, and you're just taking very well or very good care of your mental health all over, altogether. But for some of us right out there, that might not be the case. And that is why I said talking about a topic like this in the open is a very difficult one. And well, it takes courage. So, intimate because your thoughts, your brain, what you're going through, your emotions, all of that struggle that's inside you, the world doesn't see. The world sees an Instagram perfect, a Twitter perfect, or even the latest trend, TikTok perfect you, or TikTok perfect me, or TikTok perfect Mars. Well, that certainly isn't the case when it's off screen, is it? Because off screen you're not smiling anymore, you're not as happy as you are on camera or as happy as you are in front of all your friends. You're just a sad lost person who needs help. And that's when mental health becomes emotional, even personal, if I will. And that's when it touches, that's why when you're talking about it, you have to be extremely careful what you're talking about, because even a small a small gesture or a small sentence can trigger someone. So, according to the World Health Organization, we don't mean to make this theoretical. We just want to give you some real insight on the topic. So, according to WHO, mental health is basically a state of well-being or a state of mind in which an individual realizes his or own abilities or emotions and can cope with them with together. Like they can cope with their own emotions together with the stress of life, and they can work pushing all of their emotions and managing their stress productively, and is able to make a contribution to themselves or go or move forward in life. I don't want to rob all the mic time, so I'm going to call some of the other hosts on and some of the other guests on to talk about this. So let's call in today's guest Arya, because she hasn't spoken a lot.
Hi guys, I've been listening to podcast for a very long time, and this is a very nice topic to talk about, especially about what's going on. Everyone's being stuck at home, having bad thoughts, and at this time, it's really important to think about your mental health and think about your families or your friends' mental health. So when you're going through something, it's really important to open up. I know the society looks down on mental health and considers it as a taboo, which is kind of really sad, because when you encounter someone with a problem, suppose if she or he comes up to you and says, "You, I'm not fine. I'm sad. I need help. I need someone to talk to." And you just say it's just a phase, or you'll get over it at one point of time. Just be happy. It's physically impossible for that person to think about it being a phase. And so they'll go deep into it and kind of take big steps, which is wrong. So mental health is something that shouldn't that should be as important as coronavirus at this point of time, to be honest. And you should sit down and talk to them, and it's not something that you have to shun and say, it's just a phase and it's not important. Even let's be honest, our parents are really old. They haven't seen, in their times mental health wasn't as important as it was today, and they got over it too. But your parents hasn't gone through what you're going through, or hasn't seen mental health as an important issue at that time, and they got over it, and they probably be living in that era right now. It's the best thing you can do is just talk to them, tell them how important it is, and tell them what you feel. I'm sure in the end they'll understand at one point of time, but it's really important to have parents. If you're a parent who's listening, or if you're a child, it's really important to get that emotional support, especially from your family. Your family is the one that sees you every day and sees you till your last day. So this is really important to talk about it to your family.
Yeah.
Continuing on what Arya said, parents dealing with their child's mental health. This is I think mainly in our society, this is one of the main problems. Is that they say you're just a child. You don't know what depression is. You don't know what actual depression is. Well, a person can be clinically depressed from, I don't know, 2 or 3 or whenever. So it doesn't, age is not a factor in being depressed or having depression. It's basically all about mental health. And nowadays parents, if any parents listening, it's not about age, or if you're young you don't get depressed, which is really wrong.
Hmm. So yeah, well, beautifully said, Kiran and Arya as well. I feel, mental health. Firstly, let's just say that isn't just constrained or held down by this one huge common term. It's like almost like a stereotype. When anyone says mental health, the first thing comes into your head or my head even is depression. Um, well, that isn't the case. There are numerous amounts or numerous number of mental health related issues that aren't even close to depression, that don't even seem like depression. And well, they can be as bad or as dangerous as depression. We don't mean to scare anybody or instill fear or anything, but we're just saying, right? Because this is all about raising awareness and making a difference in today's society. So, well, as a matter of fact, even animals and a lot of animals, small kids, all of them can have mental health related issues, which just says or concludes that mental health cannot or is not just limited to adults. Well, let's just go into some of the more theoretical, a little boring, but obviously very crucial, very needed information as well. So so basically, mental health disorders, if you talk about them, those are, and basically there are three types. There are mood disorders, there are schizophrenia disorders, and then there's anxiety disorders. And all of them are, people don't think about it, people don't talk about this side of mental health. Or if you're not familiar with the topic, then the first thing that comes to your head or the first thing that comes to your mind is depression. But mental health isn't just limited to depression, it has a lot more around it. It's basically just as important as physical health. And a lot of people, trust me, in today's society, in in medieval times, anytime, people have failed to understand the main the need, or the importance of mental health and keeping one's psychological side as well as healthy as their physical. How so much of time and so much of energy is given into maintaining one's physical health and outward appearance. That same amount of energy, that same amount of enthusiasm has to be dedicated to maintaining one's psychological health as well. Because it, if not dealt with, then it can lead to very very bad, or very bad condition that's really hard to deal with later on once it roots into something worse. And I ain't an expert on this, and that's why we have our guest from last time's episode on our show this time, because she's studying psychology now, and she can give you all a better insight on this topic. So I'd like to call upon or invite Anam. Give us your opinion, give us your thoughts, ideologies, what we messed up, what you know. Give it a Anam Kazi.
Hi again. Now, if I talk about mental health and stuff, I'll be talking more from like a very general perspective and how it should be seen in general. Now, I might repeat some of the things they all said, but I'll just start with the base. Mental health issues, no matter how big or how small, they are issues and they always have to be addressed. It's always better if the issue is addressed when it's just in a beginning stage, because if you keep it to yourself over a while, thinking maybe to yourself like, oh no, maybe it's not that big of an issue and maybe I'm just overreacting, you should never think like that, because by the time you may realize that I actually have a mental health issue, it may get to a degree where curing it will take much longer and it won't be as simple or faster as how it would be if you were to set it straight in the beginning. Now, when it comes to society and family and stuff, I mean, society now has changed a bit, but still, in many parts, if a person was to ever say anything about mental health issues, it's always seen as like something that should be hushed up and not spoken about to others, or even taken to a psychiatrist or a therapist, because they feel, like they said, it's just a phase or it's just in their head or something like that. Now, even if you were to tell your parents, I'm just going to say parents for now, like, see, I feel like I'm sad and I feel like I have some issues, so I really want to talk to someone about it. Now, of course, even a parent would not want to ever imagine the fact that their child is having these kind of issues. So in the beginning, they might not take it as seriously, but it's only when you tell them that you think you have an issue do they start noticing and realizing it for their own, for themselves also. So it's always best to mention it so that eventually it will be taken seriously by them, and the correct steps will be taken. Mental health issues are not only restricted to like what most people think about, like they said, when they think of mental health is depression. Of course, there is also a very big part of it because it is so common amongst teens, adults, children, whatever. There are a lot of other issues too. I myself am not very sure of what they all are, but they, like they said, there are mood disorders and basically those kind of things. Now, no matter how small or how big you may think like the mood, maybe your mood aspect is like you feel like you're always sad all the time or you're always low all the time, and you may think it's just because you're not doing something that makes you happy or something. It never really is the case. Sometimes you have an issue, you can't get out of that mood, and it has to be addressed as early so that it's easier to treat. Now, if you have a mental health issue or you have these difficulties in your life from the beginning, and if it was like shunned off by your parents or said it was not a big deal, or you yourself think that it's not a big deal, there are always things that you can discover or find for yourself that make you feel comfortable or even keep you at bay during that part of time. It could be anything. It could be something that you like to do, it could be like something you like to read or listen to. It's always important to find that one thing which gives you comfort, because in the end it always acts as a very good support so that things do not take too wild a turn. I mean, I know it's not easy to find that kind of a thing, but it always is good to discover it for yourself. It's helpful, it helps a lot. But still, it's never too late to address an issue. It never is. And it's always best to consider addressing it or helping yourself before you may take any sort of extreme step. Because let's face it, extreme steps is never the answer to any sort of issue. It really isn't. Because one thing you should always remember is that it does get better. It may take its time. You may feel like it's really not getting better, but only if you give yourself a chance and the people around you a chance, you can fix it and it will get better. It's one thing you should always keep in mind so that it keeps you motivated and positive of the fact that, you know what, I will get out of this and I will be a stronger person or whatever it is. So even if like you may think or you have like hints of, okay, maybe there is something I'm not happy about, which I think about, or I'm not happy about something that I'm doing, you should always talk it out with a person who really knows you and someone you trust, because that also can help you. You don't speak about these kind of things just to absolutely anyone, because sometimes the answers you get will not be the ones you're looking for. And generally that is the case, because it'll be most of the time silly replies like, if you were to tell them I feel really sad and depressed, and then their answer is no, you should just be happy, you'll be fine. No, that is not the answer. It really isn't. So only if you speak to a person who you trust and really understand you will you get a better and more correct answer. You should always address it. You should start small, maybe just if that is if you're unsure of what is the actual problem. So you should start small. You speak to your parents about it, speak to a friend about it, and then maybe if they also start to realize that, okay, fine, it is really something that we cannot solve or help in and it needs to be taken, it's good for yourself. It is not a bad thing or an embarrassing thing or something to be ashamed of if you're being taken to a therapist and you're being cured for a mental health issue. It does not mean that you're weak. It's just there are things that need to be sorted out with you so that you yourself become like in general a clearer, happier, more positive person. So irrespective of what people around may say, especially like these very cliche aunties will be like, oh, you know, he has this problem or she has that problem. Forget about them. They have no idea what they're saying. You should just go and do what's right for yourself. If your parents are also the type that don't listen, you should always push them, keep telling them that why don't you just give it a try? Give me a chance to try and fix this in the way that I want. So you should be stronger in that position also. You should be able to say clearly that no, I want to speak to someone, and it is not something shameful. If you go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, it does not mean you're crazy or you're mad like how most people always think it is. It's not. It's most of the time it's never like that. So just you should be brave about it. You should be open about it, but to the important people, not just absolutely anyone, because it leads to too many different things which are not favored or not the best kind of reactions a person can have. So you should never close it in for far too long where it gets too bad or it gets up to such an extent you can't do anything about it. So you should always keep that in mind. So I just spoke in a very general sense and also from like a personal point of view, because even for me, I did exactly these things and it's helping me only in the end. I did take long, I should have mentioned it earlier, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be stuck like that. I know it can get better, and you too, you should know that it always does get better. Now, when you go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, whatever, and if you are ever recommended to take any form of medication, do not deny it or brush it aside, because they know what they're talking about, they know what they're doing. Never question the fact that you've been given medication. And if you ever look at it and you feel, oh my God, is it really that bad? No, that's not why they've given it. They've given it to make you feel better. So even you should think in a positive way and see it in the light of, okay, now this will also help me get better. So it's a good thing. So don't get scared of the fact that you might be getting medication, because I understand medication in this line of medicine is quite different, but don't let that bother you. You should just do whatever it takes to get better in the end. Another thing was in the case of therapy, I get that in the beginning it's kind of awkward because you are telling an absolute stranger a lot about yourself and a lot about your life. But again, you should remember that they are qualified and they're the type of people you have to speak to. They know what they're doing. They are they keep these things confidential. Whatever you want, they will not share it with anyone. And you may get frustrated during it because they tend to ask a lot of questions like, why do you think like that? What do you think is the reason? What would you do? What do you feel? That's because they're trying to make yourself realize certain things, because now even they're just people. It's not like they can look inside your head and tell you, oh, this is why it started or this is why it happened. You have to help yourself at the end of all of this. You get the medication, you get the therapy, but in the end, if you do not help yourself get through this, it becomes even tougher, because the problem is in your head. It is your issue. So they can assist as much, but you should also have the will to get out of it. You can only help yourself at the end of the day. That's what I have been told by quite a few people about you in the end. So don't give up. Don't feel awkward or strange in that kind of a situation. It's awkward, I know, but you'll get through it. It's fine. That's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and I think Kiran, Aryan, and Kiran also should say some stuff right now, right?
Yeah, so I completely agree with Anam when it comes to like it's about you. It's about you that you need to concentrate on right now. And the thing about me is that I just before going too in depth of therapy and everything, there are these small things that you can do to distract yourself. Not distract yourself exactly, just to clear your mind off. So what I do, this is like personal experience stuff. I tend to just talk to someone or listen to music that kind of you know take me into another place or like make me think otherwise. And at the same time, recently I started, walking out, doing exercises, so that it's, they say a fit body has a fit mind too. So that actually works when you think about it, because your mind, you are constantly exercising or constantly busy with yourself. You do not get that space of sitting and having unwanted thoughts coming in. And so I just randomly go for walks. I see random dogs and I pet them and I try feeding them, and it gives me a sense of satisfaction, a sense of a good feeling inside me. And I have this weird obsession over crystals. I stare at them and I feel good about it. So find something that you feel good about. Writing, be it poetry, be it reading books, be it making music like Mars does, or be it anything, something that takes your mind off for some time and you feel like you're in your zen, like you're in your zone, and you feel good about yourself. That's the most important thing that I find when it comes to dealing it with yourself. It
Yeah,
is
like
important to go for
it's like
therapy.
a happy place, right? Almost. It's like happy place. Like
Yeah,
finding your happy place.
yeah, exactly. You create your own happy place here. Like I find my happy place in a world full of crystals and doji music blasting every now and then. So that is my happy place, and I feel happy and content there. That's what you need to find.
Yeah, agreeing with what Arya said, it obviously people have their different ways of helping them cope with their emotions and their state of mind. Like you said, fitness, which a lot of people do. Like if they're feeling sad or if they need time to just think, they go on a jog, or they just listen to music, or they draw, or like every person has their different way of expressing and expressing. Different people have a different way of expressing and having a way of coping with their emotions. And another thing I'd like to point out is another thing I'd like to point out is the difference between depression and sadness. Basically, millions of people around the world experience sadness, or some people experience depression at some point in their lives. However, recognizing the difference between a diagnosis of depression and an emotion of sadness can help a person proceed in a more healthy way, knowing that whether they're just sad at the time of like whatever event is happening in their life and it's affecting their emotion, or no, or just that they actually have depression, which helps them seek help, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense actually, because there's a difference between being sad and actually going through something. And then as it is, as we all said throughout this whole episode, that you're supposed to concentrate on your mental health, but then sometimes being paranoid about the whole thing and misjudging the situation also can lead to a lot of unwanted, uncalled upon stress, as Kiran said.
Yeah, yeah, and also like certain things that help you um like state like the difference between them is like basically sadness is like any unhappy event that happens in your life, like the loss or the absence of a loved one, or divorce, loss of a job, or like financial trouble, failing an exam. Those are all like what affects your emotion, and you go and you feel sad. But depression, on the other hand, no other happy event or anything can help you overcome that certain situation that you're going through, or that whole like the whole thing of depression that you're in. Like if supposing like if it's even your birthday and your friends come over and they wish you, and where in that moment when you're supposed to feel happy, you don't feel anything at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So like it's basically another word for numb, right? Feeling numb.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like when you're supposed to be happy, when you're supposed to exhibit the other emotions that you have in your body, on your brain, you're not. You're just feeling sad or feeling down all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Arya wanted to say something.
Yeah, so it's I'm talking about anxiety and panic attacks. Like when you're experiencing something like that, in the first stage, you might not know what you're going through at like that time. You'll be just it's just a whole confusion that you're feeling at that time. But the best part you can do is try concentrating on your breath. Try breathing in, breathing out. Like do that over and over again, or try seeking help. Like if your parent is around, or your sister is around, or your brother's around, try holding their hand, try just telling them, or if even if you can't talk, just look at them, concentrate and breathe. It's all going to be fine. That's what you need to think at that time. I know it's really hard, especially when you're put in that situation, but it's really important for you to shun yourself off from other thoughts and actually concentrate on your breathing and on yourself at that point of time. It's really important because panic attacks are something that happens throughout someone's life, and it's really hard to face it. But just so you know, you got this. Come on, you're a strong person. You got this.
I just wanted to add to what Arya mentioned about deep breaths and how to deal with anxiety and panic attacks. There's this exercise known as grounding. When you feel that you're overwhelmed by something, and you're gonna have an anxiety attack, or you're having an anxiety attack, you should try this. It kind of works for me. First thing is, as Arya mentioned, deep breaths, and look around you. Find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 emotion you can feel. So this is called grounding. It kind of helps you, um, you know, calm down. Get your stress levels down. It's something I do when I'm overwhelmed by something, or something's bothering me to such an extent that I can't control myself. You should try it too. Other times when this doesn't help, as mentioned before, music helps. That's what I do. Music is my happy place. Whenever I'm, sad or happy or angry, I either listen to music or make music. So that helps me calm down.
Yeah, and another thing that helps me personally is that mostly when I feel like when I'm having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, I feel like the best thing I can do is try breathing. But then when that doesn't help, I always get out of my house and go on my terrace or like onto my balcony to get some. Once you feel the breeze and you breathe in and it's cold, and I don't know, it just helps me. Like just watching all of the other stuff and like not feeling so closed up inside sometimes. So that helps me. So I have, or Arya and I have a pretty cool idea. Why not all of us try a small little breathing thingy for everyone out there?
Yes, let's do a little bit of a breathing exercise.
Yeah,
So yeah, like I want everyone to just, sit straight and like be at peace.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So breathe in, hold, breathe out slowly. So this, you can keep repeating it if you want to. This actually makes you feel a little more better, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
feeling so bliss.
Okay. So I just want to know, Anam, Kiran, what are your happy places? We all said our happy places. What are your happy places?
My happy place. Uh, it's hard for me to really explain it, but for me, it's just when I listen to music because it distracts me completely. Or, yes, it is playing games because it distracts me also. It makes me focus on something else. And well, it's just those 2 things. That's it.
Yeah, talking about my happy place. The first one is obviously I like drawing and relaxing while listening to music. And the second one is, and Brian will back me up on this, is just a long ride on an open road with just the breeze and yourself. That's it.
Yeah, like it's just like an escape. Basically, even
Yeah,
if you don't have a ride or bike or transport, just sitting on the terrace in a quiet place, just letting nature speak to you is an amazing, amazing way, personally, of dealing with stress or anything in that way.
definitely.
Yeah, so we're kind of heading to the end of this episode, and I just wanted to point this out before we actually conclude it. Um, a lot of kids, and not only kids, a lot of people go through something known as bullying and body shaming and things like that. You might think it's funny, your friends might have a good laugh, but you have no idea how badly it might affect someone. Not everybody takes it as a joke. So before you make a joke, make sure it's not insulting, or it does not hurt the person, because the intention of a joke is to make everybody laugh, not humiliate somebody. So that's one very, very bad issue, at least for the kids and the teenagers of our generation
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
um, I know I was bullied. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to being bullied in school. It's not such a grave thing to everybody, but to some people, it can have a traumatic experience for the rest of their life. It will scar them. So if you happen to bully somebody, or if you happen to make fun of somebody, and you can see, then they're not laughing, they're actually feeling bad about it, the immediate response is apologize and do not repeat that.
yeah.
That's one thing we should teach the kids. I
Hmm.
know they say don't bully and stuff, but uh, apart from physical violent bullying, mental harassment and insults also affect a person equally as bad as it affects with physical violence.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to point that out before we head into the conclusion.
yeah.
I just want to let everyone know that things get better. It's not that it's always going to be this way. At one point, maybe tomorrow, next few hours, next month, next year, but in time, it might take a while. It gets better.
I completely agree with Maz. It causes a lot of traumatic experience, but spread positivity, spread happiness. You'll see wonders around when you're happy, when you start spreading positive feelings and you start acting kind and being nice, you see actual wonders in other people, and that gives you a sense of satisfaction. That's the one thing that I've learned a lot. But don't be too kind, but be kind.
Yeah. Also, guys, if you see anyone showing signs of depression or even sadness, it takes is one word to brighten up their day and brighten up how they're feeling. So always make sure to check up on your friends and talk.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kiran. You never know what you say or what you do that might brighten up someone's day, or just help them. Like from my personal experience, if you all don't know me, I used to post funny videos, stupid things and stuff to make people laugh. A lot of people thought I'm just doing that for the fun of it. Yeah, true, but I also did it on purpose, because after a few posts I started getting texts like, yo, I was feeling bad the whole day and I just watched your video and cheered me up. You made my day. Things like that are really, really beautiful. So I urge whoever's listening to this, I'm not asking you to open, clinics and start charging people for therapy. Just create a safe environment, a safe space where somebody with some problem can just, speak to you
Come to you for
honestly,
comfort,
open-mindedly.
basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can speak about anything. Just create that environment.
Yeah, because
It's
when you're making a joke, like just going back to that first point, when you're making a joke, it might sound fun to you, might sound fun to the other 3 or 4 people that you're with, but that one person, you never know what they're going through, no, and it's going to impact them,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Go on, go on.
if you're comfortable with it, you can uh, talk to people, whoever you find comfort with. Maybe it's your parents, your family members, your friends, maybe your teacher, whoever it is. If you're feeling low, if you feel the need to vent out, please do get help. If not professional help, at least speak. Yeah, speak out. Say, yo, I'm not okay, I need help, or can you just hear me out. Sometimes when you went out, that you already feel a lot better than you did when you were just, holding on to things. It just builds up like a pressure cooker, and you might burst. So avoid situations like that, and just speak out. It's not such a bad thing, and that explains my point, or proves my point, that creating a safe environment helps people approach you for problems, or you never know how you might be able to help that person.
Yeah. So, like Maz said, and everyone on Watercast today has done a beautiful job at, I hope and I think that you like this episode. And I think we've done a decent job at bringing you all of what you're supposed to know about mental health. And I cannot stress enough um, by the fact that, like what Anam said in the beginning, always have a happy place, always have a place where, amidst all of your confusion, amidst all of the stuff that's going on in your mind and around you, you always have a place or a thing or an activity that you do that takes you to a place or a state of serenity. Because at the end, that is going to help immensely in dealing with what you're dealing, if you're dealing with anything. And I know we've limited our discussion on the topic of we just stuck to depression and an amount or a number of anxiety mood related disorders, but there is an arsenal of them. GAD is one. There's social disorders. There's freaking andro disorders. There's there's uh, there's phobias that are even categorized as disorders, and we can go on, but we don't want to make this a boring or a very theoretical based session. We just want to say, or we just want to raise awareness about mental health. And as Maz said, even though we were trailing off topic for a second, you know keeping your kid happy or letting them choose what they're going to learn, letting them do what they want to do, is part of maintaining healthy mental health, or a healthy state of mental, a mental psychological state of mind. And because at the end of the day, or at the end of the line, a kid, when he grows up or she grows up, is going to be happy with the person they've made. They need to be happy with themselves. They need to be happy with what they've chosen to do and what they've studied over the years. Because at the end of 10th grade or degree or whatever you're studying, the person you are is what matters the most, and the personality that you've acquired, that you've developed over all of these years of living on this earth, meeting so many people, learning new things, is what matters. And as Mars said, if you force someone to do what they don't want to do, it's just not gonna go into their head. It's just not gonna rise into their brain. It's not gonna make a difference in their life. Well, all of these parents, I know y'all guys care for us, and I know y'all guys keep telling all of your kids, including us, obviously, because we are parents too, that yeah, we care for your future and all of that. But first, care for your kid as a person, then care for his future. Because if there's no kid today, how can there be a future tomorrow? Okay, deal with every aspect of their being and then care for their future, because that's what matters. And um you as a parent, if you're listening, should be happy with your kid, should be happy with the person you've raised, with a girl or boy you've raised into a fine person who can deal with their stress, who can deal with their life efficiently, and is happy with the choices he or she has made. And I would like to conclude my end of this by just saying what Arnam said. Never ever resolve to drastic measures when it comes to something that you're dealing with or something that you're coping with, because as she said, and I agree with it and insist or stress on the point, that things will and always will get better. Because as hard or as cornered as you think you are in life, you might think this is the end of the line, this is it for me. My big day has come, I have hit a brick wall, but trust me, there's a sunset waiting on the other side. And as all of us have quoted, all of us are stressed on through this episode, speak out, vent, express your feelings, thoughts, emotions, because a lot of psychologists, normal people, great theologians, and myself agree with the point that the mouth, or the skill, or the gift of expression and talk, or speech, is the canyon of the mind. That is the only way, let me stress on that, that you can express or give your emotions and your thoughts and what you're going through out and get it out of your system. Because the more you talk, that's when things get better. I loved this episode. I hope you did. I'm going to hand it off to the rest of the hosts and the guests for this evening. Come on, guys. Come on up.
So let's conclude this episode
Episode, yeah.
with
So
everybody one by one. Just tell a line or some motto that you live by, or you wake up to, like, this is my deal, this is my life, this is how it's supposed to be. I'll start. My thing is something related to Anam, that everything gets better, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes not true, but everything eventually gets better. It's about how you deal with it, and just stay strong. You got this. You got us. If not anybody else, you got us. I'll say that the Watercast family is open to conversations. We're comfortable listening to your problems, or any sort of help we can help you out with. So Anam, do you want to tell your motto next?
well, my motto is also, but I mean, it is that only. It'll get better, don't worry. When I wake up in the morning, I always think like, okay, fine, it's a new day. Let's try and do something different. So just to keep myself busy. So it all does get better. Just keep your hope, be strong, be brave, and it'll be good. I know all of this is easier said than done, but you should really give it a try. Just stay positive. That's it.
Kiran, would you like to share?
Not more or not much of a line, but if I would phrase up in a single word, is just talk. That's what I go by.
That's nice. Arya, would you like to share your?
Yeah, so I say it's okay. It's okay to feel. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for you being you. Just be you. And at the same time, if you give yourself the amount of time that you give others and listen to them, you'll see wonders in yourself too. You see yourself changing. So give yourself time, and it's okay. So Bryden.
Yeah. So the one thing that I wake up to every morning, every time I sleep, every time I wake up, this is my one thing. Take it one step at a time. Live life for the moments that matter. Because at the end of the line, when you're old, or when you just whenever when you just look back on your life, you don't want to be missing out on things that matter just because you were jumbled up in other people's stuff, or just caught up in work. So concentrate on you, live life for you. Know that tomorrow or whenever you look ahead, there's always going to be a rainbow in the sky. There's always going to be a sunset for you to go to sleep looking at. And that's my thing. So let's wrap it up, guys.
Yeah. So more love to y'all. If anybody's listening to this and is in a bad state, you matter. We love you from the Watercast family.
Yeah, from the bottom of our hearts.
It'll get
Yes,
better.
we do.
Do not give up.
We love
Do
you.
not give up.
Fight,
Smile
stay
through it.
strong, stay strong.
Fight, stay strong.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do Watercast on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Watercast.
What's the cast?
All right. And that's us signing up.
Yeah. Goodbye. Have a good day. Have a good
Yeah, love you guys.
whatever time you're listening to this.
Watercast out.
Goodbye. Watercast out.